Character is plot. Plot is character. F. Scott Fitzgerald.
You're listening to Writing Roots, brought to you by Aspen House Publishing.
Welcome to Writing Roots. I'm Lee Hull.
And I'm Lee Esses. Today we are taking a look at Lee Hull's work and her latest book that has released last month. So if you didn't get a chance to check it out, do so and then come back, because there are going to be spoilers in this and pretty much every episode this month. Today we're addressing character voice. I feel like you have a great voice, especially for Thea, because one of your strengths in this whole series has been accessing nerddom in all its facets and conveying it in a sincere and entertaining way, so that whole collection of readers would absolutely love your book. Thea is great.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun writing Thea, and it helps that it's a first-person story, so I can really get into her voice, her head. But I struggle with my other characters a little bit more, and even more so with my tertiary characters.
Yeah, I think there was one moment where the sister-in-law was in the hospital with the brother who's been shot, and Thea and Dad are all there. So his sister, Dad, and wife are all there. Wife asks sister, "How are you doing?" No. She's married to Ori. Thea can ask her, but it made her a suspect when she asks how Thea's doing. Those little kinds of moments are what can easily make or break a character, especially in a whodunit, because everybody's a suspect until they're not.
But one of your biggest problems was with not a tertiary character, but my second main character.
Logan, the love interest, who is an FBI agent, has been for a while. His right-hand man, his partner, is there for a lot of this whole scenario of helping protect Thea and helping give her a place to stay, making sure she's safe at the final conflict and this and that, helping arrest people. And they have a conversation in the end that was like, if I were in a tactical position with somebody who I knew and trusted with my life on a daily basis, the conversation would not go like this.
What happened? Camilla's been kidnapped. Take them somewhere safe. A tavern, maybe. Then call the police. Neil nodded along as Logan quickly explained the circumstances. He had me forward the link, which I did as they spoke. Logan turned back to me as Neil retreated to usher the families away. Is there anything in that video you recognize?
So there's an obvious threat. Something needs to happen. So Logan is going to spend 5 minutes saying, hey, maybe you should consider taking them to a tavern. I don't get the impression that they've done this a lot. If they had just been made partners the day prior, there is no trust between them. I can get that. But that conversation is very cop to civilian, not cop to partner.
Yeah. When I wrote this, I was thinking in that mentality of explaining it to someone who doesn't know what to do, because that's a lot of what my personal job is, explaining to people what to do because they don't know. So that's where I got into this, okay, the steps that somebody needs to take, here we go, lay them out. But you made the really good point of there's absolutely no use here. All I have to say is she's been kidnapped, and the partner would go, got it. And leave.
Everybody should already know more or less what their role is. They're going into this whole fair knowing that something could happen. They've thought it through, they've talked it through, and so they can just share a look, and then Neil knows, go time, we're going to take the 4-year-old somewhere else.
Yeah, so I've really condensed this whole segment so there's not unnecessary chatter to hold on to those voices.
I would also say there's another moment where Logan had very strange behavior for somebody who should be very tactically inclined. I'm talking about when she asks him to stay in the room with her as she's sleeping, which I get that feeling, especially waking up in a foreign location can be terrifying under these circumstances, and having somebody who's nearby will help. But I don't think he was there when she woke up. He was like in another room. Not helpful. But he also stayed in the middle of the room, which is something he would know not to do. You stay with your back to the door, like touching the door if possible. So if that door opens, it has to wake you up before they can get around you. If you're in the middle of the room on an air mattress, it's really easy to sneak past you and then murder the person you want to murder. Or murder you even. So little things like that. We talked prior to recording about interlacing fingers versus hand on top of a hand. Interlacing fingers are really hard to, in a panic situation, free yourself from. You don't want to be the burden in a fight, and especially when your hands tense up because adrenaline, that gets very difficult. These little kinds of details, I feel like Logan would know, and I know you're very tactically aware, and Thea isn't, which is totally great, but Logan should be able to pick up on a lot of this.
The one thing that I will say in defense of how I had him in that room is he's not really worried about a threat in the specific location where they are. He wants to be there to comfort her. And the closer he can be to her, that's what she wants, is him to be in close proximity, not across the room against the door. But I do get what you're saying. I feel like I do still need to address maybe I should do this instead. But the character, that is her request of where he stays. And because he's not worried, he's like, okay, I'll be there and do what you need me to do right now.
So he doesn't see Shifter as a threat by that point?
Not in the location of where they are. He does see them as a threat, but because they're in an FBI agent's house, there's a higher level of security at the house itself.
So we talked a little bit last episode about my need to drive every point home. And I feel like we can learn from each other in this particular situation.
We need to meet in the middle a little bit, split the difference.
Prior to their breakup, she's having thoughts about breaking up. She thinks she's the other woman and he actually has a relationship with somebody else over there. That is never explicitly stated. So on top of the fact that in the version that I got, she never saw a video of them hugging, she never clicked the link, this or that. She doesn't actually have evidence, so we need to understand her thoughts about how she got there. So misinterpreting sentences that the reader knows this is totally innocent, but she's misinterpreting it, is a great tool to help us side with him during the breakup, even though it's from her point of view. One of the moments goes, I stayed on the floor but turned an ear toward their conversation. Logan shrugged. The usual. There's always someone new doing something incredibly stupid or dangerous. Or both. I added the thought of, was he talking about me? Does he think I'm stupid and dangerous because I keep disobeying him and pursuing this and all of this stuff that she's doing that he might not like because she's putting herself in danger? You're going to hear that type of mentality from a lot of law enforcement of stop putting yourself in dangerous situations. Having her take it personally is a good way to start that Weasley doubt between them.
That's a really good point. And I think this is where a lot of our writing style differs, because I'm more of a stickler on timeline and how things are working. So I'm less likely to do basically internal monologue statements of reaction statements. Well, that is your thing.
And that's a lot of what I'm talking about in this part of the episode, is having those internal monologue statements helps us, the reader, connect to the character so we can see both sides of the story.
And I think with that particular conflict that I'm trying to set up, it would be a very good addition, because I do need to more explicitly state her own doubts about how their relationship is progressing.
Last thing I wanted to pitch as an idea doesn't necessarily have to do with Thea or with Logan or even Neil, but with Isaac, your antagonist. It feels like there's a lot of Kobayashi Maru here. A lot of no-win scenario where she's just kind of victim. We discussed, as I was reading it, the scene with Ron and the fentanyl, all of that. Having Narcan in the car with her, where she doesn't recognize that it's a quote unquote gift from Isaac, then it's a personal violation because he was in her car. And there's that extra guilt of she could have done something if she'd been paying attention. Having these missed opportunities and giving her a chance to choose him in a way that she might not even expect would help vilify him later on.
I don't know how to fix that without upending the whole plot.
She can claim the spotlight. Go on Lightcast or whatever your live stream equivalent was. Go on the air saying, "This is me, thank you to Shifter, blah, blah, blah." All of this stuff that she's not going to do. And Logan can tell her, even if you go on the air, it's not going to change him. He's a killer, blah, blah, blah. So she chooses not to. But having him give her a choice and give her a way to choose him makes more sense from a villain point of view.
Yes, absolutely. I do need to add that in, and that's a very good solution for me. Thank you very much.
Yay.
This has been a very helpful session for me, and I hope it has helped you, our listeners, see a little bit more about what you can do to analyze character voice. Get in the heads of your characters. Find these things that need to be more present in your own work.
Understanding your characters sometimes takes rereading and editing your book like an audience member. And looking at it going, does this make sense? Is this how I would do this character's choice? And then go back and
Right, selfishly.
If you have a question or comment for our hosts or a topic you'd like us to cover, send us an email at writingroots@aspenhousepublishing.com or find us on Facebook by searching for Aspen House Publishing.